Chapter 52. No, that... What is it? You see, there's a proper order to these things. Isn't this the most urgent matter? I've come from so far away, and I'm hungry. When the treatment is done, I will prepare a feast. I have no power to move. You can sit. Chongmyung glanced at Hwang Jong-gi. His eyes were burning. Hwang Jong-gi finally caught hold of a rope while he was drowning, and that rope was Chongmyung. If he couldn't fix Master Hwang, he wasn't going to let Chongmyung go. Chongmyung lost his appetite. Then, let's go and take a look. Hurry. Okay, don't rush me. Chongmyung turned his head and looked at the bed. Lying on the bed was a man covered in a thick silk blanket. Let's see. Checking the man's face, Chongmyung narrowed his eyes as his forehead creased. It certainly is the symptoms of the demon flower. He would have to take a closer look to be sure. Chongmyung moved closer and removed the blanket. Seeing the scene before him, he frowned subconsciously. Hwang Mun-yak's withered and skinny appearance couldn't be hidden despite the loose clothing on his body. The old man's throat has dried up as each ragged breath he took seemed to walk a tightrope between life and death. The situation is more serious than I thought. Chongmyung rubbed his chin. The demon flower is one thing, but this wasn't done properly. If he had been subjected to a highly trained demonic art, then he wouldn't have lasted a year. Even those who rigorously trained all their lives would be unable to survive for 3 days. These are not symptoms an elderly man could endure. Then, I'm going to check his pulse. Yes. Chongmyung reached out and grabbed Master Hwang's wrist. He then inserted a little bit of qi. As Chongmyung's pure qi left his body and entered Master Hwang through his wrist, the blackened veins and red tint on his skin began to retreat. This. Chongmyung frowned. The symptoms were clearly that of the demon flower. However, they were awkward symptoms that would never come from properly trained demonic sect members. Chongmyung released the old man's hand and touched his chin as if he was in trouble. Hwang Jong-gi couldn't hide his nervousness as he saw Chongmyung's strained expression looking like that. Anyone would struggle to remain calm if their last hope showed such a serious reaction when examining a patient. Finally, unable to bear it, Hwang Jong-gi opened his mouth. How is it? So... Chongmyung scratched the back of his head. Is it tough? Nah, I don't think that treating it would be difficult. Right, it's fine. Everyone has been... Huh? Hwang Jong-gi's body trembled. What was that? Treating this shouldn't be too difficult. Really? Are you sure? Yes, but I can't rush into it right away. Some preparations will need to be done. Preparations like... First of all, Chongmyung had a sly smile. Let's eat. Chongmyung was cutting and chewing everything around him to shreds. Hwang Jong-gi was aghast at the absurd sight unfolding before him. He had met many Taoists in his life while building relationships with others, but this was the first time he had seen a Taoist so obsessed with eating meat. Even now, the long torn legs of the duck which entered Chongmyung's mouth re-emerged as a desiccated bone robbed of all its flesh. Not just that. As soon as the glass was filled, expensive Yonte liquor disappeared down his throat. Yeah, this is it. This is the life. It was the first time Chongmyung had tasted such delicious alcohol. Hwang Jong-gi would have normally laughed, saying that he'd met an interesting person today, but the current situation kept him from enjoying himself. That young Taoist. What? Chongmyung asked, with meat filling his mouth. Hwang Jong-gi, taking a deep breath to calm himself, continued. The preparations. When will they be done? I'm preparing now. What do you mean? It's nothing serious. Chongmyung put down his chopsticks. The treatment requires a lot of stamina, so it is important to be well fed. Plus, the chef here is really great. Obviously he is, because the chef was the best in Xi'an. I only got to eat small meals and rice in Mount Hua. This is so good. Chongmyung patted his stomach. Are you done? No, this is just the beginning. Was there a tapeworm in his stomach? It was said that Mount Hua was going through difficult times, but this one seemed too hungry. No, even if he was starving, wouldn't his stomach get full after a while? Surely, there must be a limit to what a human stomach can hold. This was a Taoist who surprised people in many ways. You didn't come here just to eat, right? What are you saying? Well, Taoists are people who move with a purpose. Those who cultivate the way of Tao live according to the flow. Well, the flow here is too fast. This is a moderated flow. What? Hwang Jong-gi sighed, knowing he couldn't win over this child. Young man, I understand that it's rude to rush you when you're here to help us, especially after a long journey. But shouldn't you also consider the feelings of a son whose father has been bedridden for over a year? I'm already considering it. Hwang Jong-gi jumped out of his seat. Look here, young one. My father isn't dying. What did you say? He isn't dying, so sit down. Chongmyung casually poured another glass of alcohol and drank it down. Seeing Hwang Jong-gi's angry and confused expression, Chongmyung decided to speak. I've already taken some measures to ensure he won't die, so there's no problem. It will take some time to cure him completely, but we've already overcome the first important hurdle. He's been treated. When? There is a saying that the faster we move ahead, the more we need to think back. Healing your father now is not that important. What's really important is to understand why he fell ill in the first place. You really treated him. Did you think I was scamming you? Chongmyung shrugged his shoulders and continued. If you have any doubts, go and check. I'm sure the dark key on his forehead will have dissipated by now. Hwang Jong-gi stared intently at Chongmyung and nodded his head. I do not doubt you. However, I think it's good to be certain, so I will check right away. Please, go ahead. Hwang Jong-gi quickly went outside. A short while later, he burst through the door, slamming it open as he stared at Chongmyung with incredulous eyes. What did you do? I treated him. When? Chongmyung didn't reply and casually pointed to the seat opposite him. Aren't you going to sit? Hwang Jong-gi looked at Chongmyung suspiciously. While living as a merchant, he'd met an uncountable number of people, but this was his first time meeting such a person. He'd met many children, but this child seemed more like a seasoned old man. It's as if an old man's soul resided within a child's body. That's impossible. Instead, this child must have experienced countless events unsuited for his age. Otherwise, it was unlikely for a child to handle such situations with ease. Can I trust him? But there is no reason to not believe. As he confirmed, his father did show signs of recovery. Whether or not he knew what Hwang Jong-gi was thinking, Chongmyung continued to pour another glass of liquor and spoke. If you don't want to sit, then stand and answer. I have a few questions for you. Hwang Jong-gi sat down. Who is the person closest to your father? Closest? Yes, a person who guards Master Hwang, a person who follows him dawn till dusk. Otherwise, someone well trusted, the last person to be suspected of anything untoward. Why are you asking that? Let's just say that it'll be necessary for the treatment. Hwang Jong-gi tilted his head. Of course it's me. It is my job to serve my father. Except you. Except me. Hwang Jong-gi, who thought deeply, shook his head. I don't know. Father was a man who worked a lot, so of course, several people were around him or looked after him. There are at least 5 people who meet your standards and often stay around him. A lot more than I thought. Chongmyung scratched his cheek, but then shrugged his shoulders and smiled. If there are 5 of them, finding out which one it is won't be easy. Finding out what? Are you really asking because you can't understand? No, right? Hwang Jong-gi's face went stiff. He didn't ask because he was unaware of the truth. It was because he didn't want to admit it. You mean, someone did this from inside? At first, I thought it was from outside, but looking at Master Hwang, I don't think that was the case. From my point of view, this was a betrayal from the inside. Hwang Jong-gi's face went stiff. Please refrain from such words, young Taoist. All members of the Unha merchants are like family. They have been together with us their entire lives, and they all respect my father. They, or not. Chongmyung patted his full stomach. If we suspect them and they're truly innocent, then it'll all be fine anyway, right? That is true. Chongmyung yawned. So don't worry, we'll investigate and find out. Hwang Jung-gi just nodded his head. Seeing that, Chongmyung clicked his tongue and thought, he's pretty naive for a merchant. Chongmyung knew just how poisonous humans can be. He had seen monks who preached mercy, give in to rage and go mad, and watched innocent Taoists who plot the most efficient way to slit a person's throat. Human beings are two-sided. You can be an angel to someone and the devil to another. Well, that's besides the point. The important thing was that a person wanted to kill Hwang Mun-yak. Judging from his condition, the culprit clearly has poor comprehension of the demon sect's technique. The problem was that, even though it couldn't do much damage to Hwang Mun-yak at first, over time and prolonged exposure, he became gravely afflicted. Even if someone had knowledge of the demon flower, they wouldn't be able to tell how the symptoms originated unless they had seen it with their own eyes, like Chongmyung. The culprit must be well hidden. Luck was on his side. If Chongmyung had never seen the contents of that letter, no, if he hadn't even heard of this Master Hwang earlier that day, then Hwang Mun-yak would have been destined to die. Ugh, this is a good deed. Save people and make money. How do you plan on investigating? I'm already doing it. Hwang Jung-gi asked with a blank face. You are doing it? Yes. You're eating food, but you're saying you are investigating? Not that. It's the fact that I am in the room with the young master is enough for the investigation. Hwang Jung-gi couldn't figure it out. Just watch. Soon, a lot of fun things will happen. Young master, be sure to keep your eyes open. There's one more thing you need to do. What is it? I'll try my best. Chongmyung picked up the bottle next to him. One more bottle. Quickly. A flood of tears was concealed within Hwang Jung-gi's heart.